Can I welcome the Honourable Linda Volz, a former member of this place, back to her natural home. The Honourable Bob Nanva.
Mr. President, I rise to make a contribution. Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to make a contribution on the dreadful situation unfolding in Iran and the Persian Gulf, which is currently in an incredibly delicate stage as we nervously wait on the outcome of alleged back-channel negotiations that, on the surface, appear to be unlikely to succeed. The conflict has been a source of immense anxiety for Australia's Iranian diaspora, and that anxiety is naturally more pronounced in Iran itself, where through limited communication, family and friends speak of their fight for survival. They speak of not knowing whether they will survive the night, and if they do, what Iran they will wake up to. These people ought to be in our thoughts, even if one has disdain for their government. And our Prime Minister has been highly critical of the regime in Iran for the apparent involvement of Iran in sponsoring attacks on Australian soil, as well as the routine persecution of its own citizens. Nonetheless, the immediate and potential humanitarian impact of this war are deeply troubling. If the experience of conflicts of this nature in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria and Libya tells us anything, it is that the possibility of prolonged chaos and civil war is real, and an elusive peace in Iran, a country with a larger population than Iraq and Afghanistan combined, could lead to a significant global refugee crisis and a new era of mass migration into Europe and other first world countries, including Australia. In Australia, we place a high value on compassion, mateship and helping others in need. We pride ourselves on being an egalitarian society and as a nation free from war, we have the capacity and obligation to assist others. These principles should and must apply when people need our help the most. When Russia invaded Ukraine, we responded with care and compassion and welcomed Ukrainian refugees into Australia. Our government was practically falling over itself to ensure that, rightly, we would provide refuge for any Ukrainian adversely affected by the Russian invasion. Similarly, after the siege of Kosovo, we welcomed refugees from that conflict with the compassion and care that we should. However, when it comes to people who share my complexion, it seems that our compassion is more qualified. The Minister for Home Affairs, Tony Burke, announced yesterday that Iranian temporary visa holders will be banned from entering Australia for the next 6 months. For many members of the Iranian-Australian community, this inconsistency hits hard. It has never been lost on me that many decades ago, before the fall of the Shah and the rise of the Islamic Republic in Iran, my parents were welcomed to Australia with open arms, taking comfort in the fact that secular or religious political oppression could not easily cast its menacing shadow across Australia's distant shores. Yet the message we are sending innocent Iranians now, people who have had to endure much before and during the war, is a simple one: don't come. I urge the federal government to revoke this ban on Iranian visa holders. Fair-minded Australians will support providing assistance to Iranians seeking our help. We saw it recently in the overwhelming public support for the well-being of the Iranian women's football team after threats were made against them on Iranian state television. The response in that case from Minister Burke demonstrated kindness, care, and above all else, provided each of those women with the agency to make their own decisions in relation to their safety. He must do the same for all Iranians in their time of need and allow them access. It goes without saying that compassion and humanity towards people from a war zone is not contingent on their sporting skills or on the level of media interest in their plight. Mr. President, the treatment of refugees by the former Howard government when I was growing up in Sydney was pivotal in the development of my personal political views and in my personal journey into the Labor Party. I was drawn by the principled stand on refugees taken by many advocates in Labor at the time, including the current Prime Minister. Mr. President, I strongly believe a society can and should be judged by the way it treats vulnerable and desperate people from other countries, particularly those seeking refuge, whether temporarily or permanently, from the scourge of war. Our treatment of those seeking refuge should be a point of pride. A marker of those Australian values is currently hard to reconcile with yesterday's decision to ban Iranian short-term visits.
Thank you.